I love cooking with marijuana.
I'm gonna cook the grilled cheese in the cannabis butter.
It's an amnesia haze, OG Kush, Girl Scout cookies.
How do they come up with the names?
You just make them up.
Time's up in 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Rauch. Today we are discussing Cooking on High, available on Netflix. Cooking on High is a food-based marijuana cannabis television TV show. It's not quite what you would expect in a regular food cooking show, but it infuses cannabis and different extracts that are available for cannabis to be mixed with in ingredients in real meals. So I've been interested in cannabis and how it's always been mixed in meals and how you can use in other ways, alternative methods of using the herb. This show I was kind of hoping would address that a little bit more, either by giving us decent recipes, giving us some interesting insight, how to cook with it, something. One of those things. This show should probably be called Cooking While High, because everyone in the show is high as balls the whole time they're doing it. The host is high, the guests, celebrity guests are high. I think even sometimes the chefs are high. So everyone's really baked in this show. So I personally don't have a problem with that, but if it comes to the fact where it's affecting how you are interacting on television, it sometimes can be distracting. I understand, like, I understand if it was like a beer show or something to do with alcohol or something, it'd probably be drunk. So there is kind of there's a problem in the deficiency in how the actual execution of the show works. So there, overall, two celebrity guests, quote unquote celebrity guests that no one has ever heard of, come in and judge two meals that have been infused with marijuana. And so they wait for a few minutes and then let the cannabis set in and see how the effects feel. But if you're drinking two beers back to back, you're not going to feel the effect of the first beer over the second beer. So same thing, same rules generally apply with cannabis. If you eat two edibles that have two different types of hybrids and two different types of strands in it, you're going to feel different effects. So therefore, whoever is winning this prize, the golden pot or whatever the hell they're trying to compete for, which is really not even important, it's just really unclear. So I'm definitely interested in the show. It's just everything about it makes it feel more like a concept, like a creative concept. They're like, hey, Netflix, we got these crazy television shows, but we don't have anything that infuses marijuana in it. So I found some things that I would like to talk about the show. The show is only 15 minutes long, so it's really not long. This isn't going to be a long podcast with me today, but there are some good and then some not so good. I'll go down and break the technicals down for you. Titles. One thing I noticed was the titling on each of the segments just looks mediocre. It looks really bad. It just flat. Not great at all. It's kind of like this green highlighted text with like smoke in the background or something. I don't know. It's very I don't know. They clearly did not put too much into the budget for this show. I can tell that they're trying to hold back. I'd say the host is really not that bad. I'd say he brings a lot of energy. I can definitely tell that he's definitely ripped when he's on it. It seems like everyone just took a big bong rip before they got on stage and said, let's go. But the host is really good. The one person that really steals the show for me is Geo Bellium. It's their resident weed expert. I'm trying to use cannabis instead of marijuana and weed. Apparently cannabis is the correct way to say it these days, as the kids say, as the scholarly cannabis scholars say. So Geo Bellium is an American comedian, musician, writer, activist, hell, juggler, and publisher, and he's on this cooking weed show. So you will recognize this guy as soon as he walks on screen, and he probably has the most gravitas toward him, just in the knowledge he has to say. They do cutaways to this guy, the weed specialist. The thing is, he has a lot of information to say, but not a lot of titles will come up and help emphasize what he's saying or anything like that. So if you're not paying 100% attention, you might not even hear what he's saying. So throughout the entire show, they have cannabis tips, and for instance, if you like got too high or something like that, they say add citrus to whatever you're eating or something like that. It'll help it calm down. Like, that's really interesting information that we hardly ever get in any other source, and I think that's what we want to come to the show for. The ultimate problem in the show is that the guests aren't what you're coming for. You're not coming for the food, because the food's not really shot that well. There's a lot of shots of them prepping the food, but it's just shot okay. There's other shows that shoot food better. The food porn is just not up to scale. The technicals with how they were running the live show, I could feel just from watching it. I mean, occasionally the people would go out of focus when they were on interviews. The person wasn't in focus a couple times. The dialogue that they're having to say throughout most of the show, they don't have anything to talk about, so they usually cut in between for the 15-minute shows. They're all the shows, I believe, are about 15-minute shows. The 8 minutes in between are all of them just blabbering about one time they got high doing so and so, one time they ate an edible and did so and so. It's like, this is not cooking on high. This is cooking while high, or cooking with stoners that happen to be in the room or something. You know, it's like they're I can't exactly tell what the purpose of the show is. Like I said earlier, the food's not particularly shot that well. They only give one or two insights on how they're prepping the food, so you're not learning anything that much. They give cool tips about, cannabis, but there's not enough to really justify it. Maybe like 2 an episode. If the celebrities aren't bringing anything interesting to say, then the show honestly is pretty flat. And keep in mind, I'm reviewing the first 2 episodes, so I do think the second episode is a little bit better than the first. First one was a little rocky. But yeah, there's something important about a food show. If you don't show how the food's being made, how if we're not learning something, or if it's not extremely interesting to look at, why are we watching the show? And they have some sort of competition for the gold pot. The golden pot is like the first place prize. If the prize doesn't mean anything, the food doesn't mean anything, and we're barely learning anything about the cannabis, why are we watching this? So those are a couple things that I really just picked out of the show that I thought that they could work with. Like, they have a good idea. They just either need to execute on one of these things, and we need to be able to come away with something. We need to come away with either having a great experience, having a great time. If they were all comedians or something like that, like, these are not always comedians that are always on the stage or always in front of the camera. So if these are just regular people talking about, one time I ate a sandwich or ate a edible and went to the movies, it's like, that's not funny. No one cares about that. Like, this I personally, I don't think if you're going to have a cannabis television show, that's what you should use it for. You should use it for actually cooking with cannabis and showing the audience how to cook with it and how to utilize the ingredient. So yeah, it's like I said, good concept. They just need to execute on a few extra things to really make it pop. There's a redheaded guy on the second episode that was probably funny enough that I would want to watch a third episode. He was just a goofball. They got the celebrity guests nice and ripped from their cannabis grilled cheeses or something like that, and they were feeling it. And so the thing is with the celebrity guests, once again, these aren't really celebrity guests. These are just people that are kind of in the industry, you know, some industry, I don't know, comedian, entertainment, some industry, rappers, or, you know, artists, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, these are not really that big of artists. They don't have the budget to bring in someone really big. And when they're judging anything, it's like, how do you judge these sandwiches? They're just judging off of how the sandwich tastes and everything like that. If they taste, some said they tasted the cannabis in it, some didn't. Like, the technical things about cooking with cannabis are more interesting to me than if they're getting an 8 or 10 out of on this show. I want to know technicals. I want to know skills. I want to know, put a dash of butter over here, put a little bit over here. You know, that's the thing I want to know. So I hope that they can form back onto a better format that would maybe give this show some direction. But I think we got just about everything. There's just one or two shows that pop out in my head, pop right onto the sheet of what I was writing about the show. Hannibal is a show that we covered within the last few months. All of the food shots in that show are extreme. I mean, they're obviously staged and they're done 100 different ways and with different technicals, and they're not done with a live on a live set. They shoot it amazingly well, and so I just need this show to either take the technicals from these other television shows. Hannibal, if anyone, and Hannibal has amazing food shots. What's it called? Seinfeld's comedian in cars getting coffee. If you've ever seen that show before, with the coffee shots, that they just look immaculate how it's being shot. Now I know, once again, this is in like a actual. They're probably not shooting it behind the kitchen and all that. They're actually doing it in a real stage. But yeah, if we're gonna see some slow-mo shots and see some shots of the food being prepped, either just put this food to the side or put the chefs to the side. There's just not enough room for the chefs to really work and interact with the camera and the food quality to be top notch, because they're not focused on it at all. And if we're not going to focus on the food, focus on the cannabis. So, all right, everyone. I appreciate everyone listening. Rate, share, subscribe. Lucky Dog Podcast if you want to hear more podcasts from Lucky Dog. Thank you for listening, and take it easy.
I gotta go see my PO.
Now it's time to judge. Hit him with the damn tag.
Get ready, because this is Cooking on High.